He went from running away from a hurricane on Turks and Caicos to founding Lotus Sleep Products and now opening his 6th mattress store in Saskatoon. Buckle up for this wild ride in the mattress business with my friend, Jon Piett. The Fam Podcast starts right now. Did you know that 86% of customers buy from the first business that responds? And if you text back very quickly, that number jumps to over 90%. That's why Podium's AI employee, Jerry, is a game changer. Jerry never sleeps, never takes a lunch break, and never puts in a 2-week notice. He's always on, responding in seconds, so you never lose a lead again. Turn missed calls into texts, capture more leads, and close more deals, all with Podium. Want to see how it works? Get a demo today at podium.com/fam. Podium, because speed wins sales. For the first time ever, top retailers can carry the luxury mattress line one of America's top sleep retailers has kept to themselves until now. Introducing Prana Sleep. Crafted from 100% natural materials featuring luxury latex quilted directly into the top panel, it's a feel no competitor can match. Born from decades of retail experience, Prana Sleep delivers premium performance, customer loyalty, and unmatched sleep satisfaction. Your competition is going to hate selling against Prana Sleep because nothing compares. Apply now at pranasleep.com.
In the mattress world, a no at checkout means a lost sale. That's where American First Finance comes in. We help you say yes to more customers, even if their credit isn't perfect. With fast setup, tailored solutions, and support every step of the way, you're not just offering a way to pay. You're inviting them to Yesville, where more people get approved and customers can take home the mattress they need today. Visit AmericanFirstFinance.com to get started.
Welcome to the FAM Podcast with Mark Kinsley. This is where the best in the bedding business get even better.
Welcome to the Fam Podcast. Jon, we finally did it. You're here. We made it. It's happening.
It's awesome. I'm so excited, Mark. Let's do this.
I know. So some people have called you like the Matt Smith north of the border because you're in Canada. And you and Matt Smith got to meet for the first time in person. And I witnessed it. You guys are both pretty dynamic individuals, but you have that dynamic Canadian measuredness to you that dials the Matt Smith down just a touch.
And if anyone knows Matt Smith, like I follow Matt Smith, I know him quite well now. And that was such an honor when someone said that. I was so thrown back when they're like, "Oh, you're the Matt Smith of Canada." It's like, no way. Matt Smith, I hold him so high up. Like, he's such a great guy and perfect guy for our industry here. That was a huge honor just even to be mentioned like that. So that was pretty cool.
Well, shout out to Matt and the crew at Snooze doing great work over there. And I know you're doing great work up in Saskatoon. Tell us, first of all, before we get into your mattress business, your private label products, opening your 6th mattress store and what the business climate's like up there. Let's go back to the beginning, sort of the beginning, where you're in Turks and Caicos or on Turks and Caicos. It's an island. And you're running away from a hurricane. Back us up, fill in the gaps, tell us the story.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is years ago, but yeah, when I was quite young, I moved off to Thailand to become a scuba dive instructor. I remember telling my parents, what do you want to do? I'm a boy from the Midwest, prairies type of thing. There's not an ocean in sight. And I remember telling them, I want to do the craziest thing out there. I want to become a scuba dive instructor. And they're like, what? So I ended up selling everything, moving off to Thailand, and I lived there for about a year, becoming basically from an open water diver right up to a dive instructor, which takes a long time. After that, I had a lot of people that went, "Jon, you're never going to get a job. You need to know 2 languages." I'm like, "Oh no, this is not good." And at that point I was like, well, that's not good. But again, like any entrepreneur knows, is you just grind it out. So what I did was I emailed every dive shop in the world and literally emailed every dive shop in the world. And I got 5 job offers at that time. And what I did was basically had Fiji, Turks and Caicos, Hawaii, and a couple different places. And I chose Turks and Caicos. So I lived out there for teaching scuba diving, that sort of thing, for about a year. And then I started up my first business out there, and it was a water sports business where we rented off cruise ship, basically snorkeling equipment, water sports equipment to cruise ship passengers. So I did that for another 11 months type of thing on the island. And then, the big thing happened was a hurricane came through. And it was one of those things where I never thought I would you're young, and I never thought I would actually leave the island and move back home or anything like that. I thought I was, it's sunshine there, 365 days a year. But yeah, hurricane came in. The first one was a category 1. It was called Hurricane Hannah. That sort of thing. It was a category 1. Really, it was nothing type of thing. But on the island that I was on, it was 7 miles long by 1 mile wide and not a hill in sight. There's like a little hill. That's about it to escape any type of big hurricanes. But it was about a week later. That's when the big one started coming in, and it was Hurricane Ike at the time. And Hurricane Ike was a category 4, category 5 hurricane coming through. And with seeing years before Katrina, category 5, I was like, oh my, I got to get off this island. And we ended up, girlfriend at the time and I got on the last plane off the island, flew to Atlanta on the very last plane before this hurricane came through. And it basically wiped out our house. It looked like a tornado going through the Midwest, and it was just flattened type of thing. So grateful for getting off the island. And then I had to make a choice. I ended up moving back up to Canada, where I thought I'd never come back to. And the economy was kind of starting to kick at that time. It was very different than when I left. And so kind of wanted to get into a certain thing, and kind of got me into the mattress industry. So again, we can kind of go into that if you want, Mark.
All right, let's put a bow on this escape from the island. So you had your business there. So obviously everything got wiped out. Like all of your equipment was gone. Any assets that you had completely wiped out. And you just like, all right, I kind of chalk it up to a loss and go back to Canada.
Pretty much. It was a choice. Do you go back? Do you do that sort of thing? A lot of stuff we were able to save. I ended up selling it to a local guy on the island that basically bought all our equipment, that sort of thing. But yeah, it was a choice to kind of either move back, grind it, start fresh, or kind of come back. And after being gone for about 2.5 years, you miss family and stuff like that too. So it was about time to kind of come back to.
So whenever you went back to Turks and Caicos after the hurricane passed and you're selling all your equipment and your house was wiped out, where did you stay? Like, what was that like?
Oh, it was all done through phone and internet and connections there. I actually didn't go back to sell all the stuff. I went back there later, more as a vacation type of visit type of thing later down the road, but the actual sale of the assets and all that stuff, that was basically done by internet, email, and phone.
And then off to Canada you went. The economy is starting to bump up. You're feeling the hum. You're feeling the buzz. Why the mattress business? How did this happen?
Oh, I never thought I'd ever get into the mattress industry. That was the weirdest thing ever. And I was working. I kind of came back and I started working at this. It was like a pipe welding company, something that totally I would never, it's not in my wheelhouse, but it paid really well. And you'd weld these oil pipes and stuff like that in the city where I came back to. Unionized job, that sort of thing, paid well, but it was not what I wanted. And my brother was working at Sears at the time. He was one of the top appliance guys at Sears back then. If anyone remembers Sears now, it's gone. So
I worked there. I was in Big Nine Hardware.
My whole family was like from mom and dad. That's where they met. Grandpa, grandma, uncle, all that. They've all worked at Sears. So Sears is a very strong part for my family. But yeah, my brother was working there. He's like, you know what? This cool place called Sleep Country just opened up. They're doing beds. It seems like a really cool place to go. And I'm like, sell beds? I don't know about that. But then I was like, you know what? Something neat, something cool. So I went and applied. They weren't hiring at the time, and I just kept harassing them pretty much. I sent them I think 15 resumes, called them, and finally the regional manager, Gail, at the time was like, John, you know what? We're not hiring at the time, but you've bugged me so much that I could see you really want this job. We're going to get it to you. So then that's how I kind of got in there. So
you're talking to the guy that emailed every dive shop on the planet. I will be here just henpecking you until I get this job.
Yeah. I think I even did some crazy thing where I dropped off, you got to get the people at the beginning, or like on the floor. So I give this to any young person looking for a job now, but I would take a box of donuts and then I would tape my resume on the inside of the box of donuts, and then you go give it to the staff. They love you. That resume will get to the top really fast. So there's a tip.
You did this.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I had a friend who was trying to get a job at a radio station, and it was in a big market, and those jobs were really competitive. He actually, he bought a billboard outside of their office with him and his show and all this other stuff. And he ended up getting the job, but it was like a $6,000 investment, but he got it. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. There really is. Is that the same saying in Canada? More than one way to skin a cat? Do you have something like that?
No, it's exactly the same. Yeah. Yeah.
Give me some more. Give me some Canadian phrases I may not have. I need something here.
Oh, a boot. What else do we say? Poutine, stuff like that.
Pasta.
Pasta.
Yeah, we say pasta down here.
Pasta.
I like poutine.
Poutine's great.
It's like cheese and gravy, right?
Cheese gravy. Yeah, it's great. There we
Since
go.
we're
There's
talking
our
about
off
food,
topic.
what's your favorite food? No, it's okay.
Mine?
Yeah.
I love like pizza and pasta. I actually bought one of those Blackstone barbecue grills just recently, so I'm excited to cook on that. I'm gonna have my first grill tonight on this thing. So yes,
I'm getting hungry right now.
I know.
We have a grill too. We grill a lot. We kind of get made fun of because I've grilled outside when it's 0 degrees, but I'm sure that's pretty common in Canada. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's 0. What's the big deal? We're going to grill. That's summer.
you just go. Yeah, you just do it.
All right.
Awesome.
So you're working at Sleep Country Canada after you harassed your way into a job lovingly, of course. And then what happens after that?
No, then I kind of got that mattress bug almost, or sleep industry bug, where I really started to. So I started working as sales on the floor and got mentored by a lot of the staff that came in that had a lot of experience there, and just really fell in love with how much of an impact this industry is, and how much you can help someone. And so I really started to really embrace that. So I started selling on their floor, up on the floor type of thing, and just really enjoyed it. And then I worked my way up to become the area sales manager at Sleep Country. So I started managing, I think it was 3 or 4 of their stores, and just really enjoyed it. So it was a great company to work for, great company. They have great training. I mean, they're one of the biggest companies in Canada for a reason. So lots of respect for them.
They're one of the biggest companies in Canada. I didn't realize that.
Well, in the mattress industry, yes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Not in general.
Shout out
We have bigger companies than that.
All right. Shout out to Mike Douglas working at Sleep Country Canada from the United States. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And Mike's one of the brightest minds in this business and such a wonderful guy, and really good at doing push-ups in front of his family. You'll have to ask him about that at some point.
We'll have to ask him, yes.
Okay, so you're working there. Did you pretty quickly start your own mattress business? You're at Sleep Country Canada for a while?
Yeah, I was there for a few years, and then, it was one of those things where it's really hard to just work in a retail store, but I loved it. But then I moved into the outside sales part. So I got on with Simmons at the time. This is pre-merger, but Simmons Beauty Rest, and was their territory account manager for them. Went through the merger with to SSB, so Serta and Simmons, and worked with them. It was around 9 years type of thing as an outside sales territory account manager, and loved it because I got to meet a whole bunch of different stores and help them build their lines and understand the industry, do training, that sort of stuff. So for national accounts or independent accounts, I would say independence was always my favorite. So, but yeah, just really start to do that. And then when I was at Sleep Country, that's where my now business partner of Modern Mattress that founded Modern Mattress, me and him worked with each other at Sleep Country. So when we were actually working with each other in the same store, we're very like-minded people, but very yin and yang. We both complement each other. We both have very different skill sets, but very aligned on a lot of things. But we worked together. I was the area sales manager. He was in the store as well. And then when I left, he took my position over. And then after a couple of years at that, he went off to start the first Modern Mattress store in a place called Yorkton, Saskatchewan. And it's a real small community. Probably don't know where it is, but that's where the first one started. So yeah, it was always that relationship from the very beginning, from when we both worked together to watching him, to helping him get that set up. And we're very aligned right from the beginning on that. So I would help him as a territory account manager with his lines and stuff like that. And then we kind of grew really close together real fast in the last couple of years.
And so did you come to be his business partner in Modern Mattress with one store in Yorkton?
No, it wasn't until later on. It was only it's when we kind of started. We always wanted to, start, but for me to move the family, and it was a distance away, and timing wise, it just never worked out. But later on, when we'll get into when Lotus started. Lotus was kind of like that side hustle that started really small in my garage, and we'll explain that. Well, when that started, it started to really expand, and then we kind of had that bridge in the gap where the two companies started to really align, and we started to align, and we wanted to really work together, and we knew we could take something or grow something bigger than what we were doing individually.
Let's talk about it then. Since Lotus is sort of that domino that sort of tipped it in that direction. How did this all come about? So you wanted to launch your own line, you were working other jobs, and then you created a
Yeah,
mattress
no,
called Lotus in your garage?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, again, the mattress industry, sleep industry was amazing. But I always wanted to start a little side hustle. My wife and I were looking at having kids. Didn't know if we had to go through in vitro, that sort of thing. So, there was some costs coming there. So I was always like, maybe there's a side hustle I can kind of do to make a little bit of extra cash, that sort of thing. So it started really small. And what it was is a weighted blanket. So I wanted to build a weighted blanket. This is pre, 2018, I think 17 or 18. But weighted blankets weren't really known at the time. Or if they were like plastic beads, and they're really, like almost handmade. They were really, quite not luxurious at all. And so the idea was to build a better weighted blanket. And it started in my garage with the first couple of them. And we would just sell them online or to the odd boutique store, that sort of thing. And that's kind of where the ball started is. And the name Lotus, it wasn't just picked out of the air. There's a story behind that where when we got married, we didn't have a big wedding. We got eloped in Bali. And so it was just my wife and I when we got married in 2018. And I took a picture of our guest house when we got married, and the name of it was Lotus. And so I said, if I ever start a company, I'm going to call it Lotus. And it was about 8 months later is when the actual Lotus started. And I said, I have the perfect name for it. And that's what kind of started the brand. And so we started really small. It was like packing them, putting them together, putting handwritten thank you cards, that sort of stuff, and shipping them out. And we did some trade shows and stuff and sold them in a few stores. And it just kind of snowballed from there. So we went from weighted blankets to pillows. And then finally, I got to kind of do my dream thing, and that's designing and building mattresses. So that's where we're at now.
Tell me about the first Lotus mattress. Where'd you get the raw materials? Where'd you put it together? What'd you do with it?
The first one was, it's probably years in the making of like wanting to build this bed. And I think it was, you're going through COVID, and, you're throwing out ideas to current employer and stuff like that. But the first idea was really to build something different, something unique. And so the first bed was actually a flippable mattress, two-sided, because there was not a lot of two-sided, and there still isn't too many two-sided beds on the market, but something that was rolled, not in a box at the time. We put it in a bag, so it was a reusable bag. So it's like more like a duffel bag that you can use. So we wanted to be that first bed that was two-sided, had a real unique cover on it, made, for us, made in Canada with local materials, the fabric, everything like that. And yeah, it was kind of that first initial bed, and it was a huge success right off the bat. But to get a manufacturer to do that right away, when you're a small guy that's selling some blankets and some pillows, and you're like, I want to build a bed. I think I was told no about 4 or 5 times by different manufacturers that are like, who are you? You're trying to build a bed in a bag, in a two-sided bed? Until finally one of the manufacturers, I talked to, he's like, that sounds crazy, but you seem like a cool guy. So let's do this. I don't care if you're going to sell 1 or 100 of them. Let's try this out. So he gave me the first opportunity, and it's been kind of, smooth sailing from there. It's off to the races.
You heard from the scuba diving community and from the regional manager at Sleep Country that this guy's going to keep showing up. I better just do this project with him because he's going to keep showing up. So yes, I acquiesced from the beginning. Okay, so he thought it was a cool idea. You said it was a huge success from the beginning. Where were you selling them? Were you selling them through retailers online?
Mostly through a couple of like the retailer, mostly through like the Modern Mattress store. At that time, I think Modern Mattress grew to like 2 stores. We had a couple other ones that we were kind of selling them to. But then it started to kind of like snowball from there. And yeah, it was just kind of went from another bed that was like a nice 10-inch all memory foam bed that we called the original. And then we did another model called the Hybrid Luxe, which is a pocketed coil, foam encased, nice smooth top, rolled in a box at the time, and roll in a coil. I mean, now it's kind of common, but a few years back, it wasn't as common. So yeah, we just kind of started rolling out those. Yeah, and mostly sold them in store. Like we sold a little bit online, but really our bread and butter was in the store with the store experience, that sort of stuff, where people could try them and stuff.
And so you were selling through Modern Mattress, some other accounts. And then what happened? I mean, were the sales just going really well and you were continuing to support your friend, kind of as a business advisor, as a rep, as a product supplier, as a counselor?
Yeah, and I guess earlier on there, that's when I, left, and that's when we kind of really started to come together and go, you know what, let's, before we started building all these beds, it was like, you know what, let's figure out a way how we can kind of bridge this together. And yeah, that's where we kind of said, you know what, we're stronger together. We have strengths on either side, and let's see what we can do together here. So we kind of combined both companies where I would own part of this one and he'd own part of that one, and we started to kind of grow from there.
And so today you're the CEO of Modern Mattress?
Yeah, and co-owner, and then yes.
Okay, so you're up to how many stores now?
So coming this fall, we're going to have 6 stores.
6 stores. And what's the secret sauce? Like, what does Modern Mattress do that is different, that's unique, that customers love? Like, what do people say when you walk out of the room about your company?
It has done a 180 turn, probably in the last 18, maybe 24 months, but around that 18 months, we've done such a change in what we do and how we do it, and it's so strategic on what we do. But yeah, what we do differently is really turned everything upside down. So we looked at everything from the business, from how we manufacture and how we treat our guests. And I would say guest is number one, is how we treat every single person when they come in that store. It's very different from how we greet them, the technology that we use. We listen to their needs, and then we build a product that we can customize basically around them within our product lines. So a lot of different things that we do behind the scenes that are very different than most traditional mattress stores.
When you said that you came in and you kind of flipped it 180 on its head, what were some of the specific things that stood out at that time that have changed?
So I would say within the product mix of it, I would say mindset as well. But on the product side, Modern Mattress is like every other mattress store where they would sell all the big brands, which is nothing wrong with them, nothing wrong with the big brand names and stuff like that. But it was very similar. And what's your competitive advantage when you go down the street and you're selling this brand here at this bed? And it's a little different in Canada versus the US, where there's a little bit more of map pricing and that sort of thing. Canada's a little bit more wild west for that. But if you're selling this price and then you go down the street and the big box retailer or another one is selling for this price, and you're getting undercut every second. So we made a huge decision to really look at our floor and build specific lines with a unique story to it, unique feel, and really 180 our whole store. So I think in the next month and a half, we'll be around 80 to 90% our own products that we've private labeled under Lotus, that we build from the ground up and fit from our, not just from a boardroom up, and not just my ideas, but from our staff, from our customers, from our feedback. So that was a total different change, where instead of being told, hey, you know what, we got these new models that we're going to show at the Vegas show, or we got this show, and here's our new models for the year. We looked at it a little different. We asked our staff, okay, what problems are you having with this? What are customers asking for? And if it was edge-to-edge coils or this or that, our staff would come up with these problems that they're having with the current line and give them to me, and we'd implement them. So we'd launch a line with edge-to-edge coil, or we'd launch a line with a nice latex natural, because we had a lot of stuff. So we kind of controlled our own destiny on what we're doing now, on not waiting for a decision to come from here. We're making a decision right here, grassroots, right from the ground up, to go with our staff involved. And that's super important. Having our staff and people involved right from the ground up, from designing how we do it, why we're bringing this product in. And it's not just from me. It makes a difference, makes them excited to come to work, makes them excited to be part of a movement, a change, that sort of things. So that's part of what we've done the last 18 months. Another big thing is just the mindset change of believing in and taking care of the guests. So everything that we do is guest first, guest focused. So if it's how I think of a story. I was in the store the other day, or a couple weeks ago, and I go around to the stores and walk around with the staff, and we look at everything from the lights. I would lay down on a bed and find out if the lights are hitting me in the eye. Well, that's not guest focused. That's awkward for the customer. So we changed. So we got on the ladder and we moved the lights. We would. Is the water in the right place? We looked at different things from just really everything around it, guest first. So
it sounds like
I could list off a whole bunch, but
it sounds like you've approached everything though with being number one, problem solution oriented. So you're identifying 100%. Real problems And then, so just not making change for the sake of making change, but you're identifying the problem and then you're being very intentional with it. I mean, when you're talking, 80 to 90% balance of share is going to be coming from your own product. That's a scary proposition for a lot of people because they think that they have to have certain brands on the floor. How have you navigated that? Like you said, there's nothing wrong with the brands, but do you need some brands in order to be relevant in some customers' mental conversation around buying a mattress? Where do the brands now fit in?
I think everybody, when we first kind of came up with this and said, this is what we're going to do, I think everyone looked at us in the mattress industry like, you guys are nuts. Like, I don't think you can do that. I think no one's going to come to the store. I don't know. I don't know if you can replicate what we're doing exactly, but no, we haven't. We've seen an uptick where sales are up, conversions are up, everything is up, everything is in the right direction. No, have we dropped off? No, it's actually become simpler and easier for our staff because we're not talking about, hey, going to this brand, and we're trying to tell the difference between gel infused foam and this and that. We create a simpler story on the floor where they tell, hey, you know what? This is a local product. We know the founder of it. We've been to the factory where these are made, and that's something that we do a lot of. Is we take the staff to the factory to really see hands-on how it is, so they have a personal connection to it. But it's one story. It's you tell the story of Modern Mattress and of Lotus, and then we find the right feel for you. We find the right bed that fits you and your partner, you and your husband, that sort of thing. So we really focus on that. So have we lost anything? It's hard to say, but I don't feel like we have. I mean, that's what we kept saying is we'll keep pushing the needle until we start to see something. But so far, it's all full steam ahead, and we're seeing a huge increase. So.
I've heard you use the word mindset a couple of times. How do you get the mindset of a team with multiple locations changed? I mean, from what I've heard from other people in similar experiences, number one, like you said, you got to be intentional about it. But what was that experience like for you as a leader? And was there was it a lag? Did some people get on board and some people weren't on board? What was that like to actually change everybody's mindset?
100%. No, it's not easy. I'm very fortunate to have a really good team with my business partner Drew and our CEO Cody. She's hands on deck with the staff, but it's taken a bit. Some people either came with us or we had to let them go, bringing on new staff, new mindsets, that sort of thing. It's taken a lot of time to build that culture, that mindset, that excitement into it. So yeah, it's not an easy process. It's not an overnight thing. And I wouldn't even say it's one thing. It's probably a multiple of hundreds of little micro things that we do, from our calls every day, from how we just, I could go on and on what we do, but so many different things. It's probably about 100 different things to really build that culture up, that mindset on the journey that we're on and the mission that we're on right now.
And probably those 100 things are done repeatedly. So there's a compounding effect of those 100 things. And that's what becomes a culture. It's that what you do repeatedly. Because otherwise it's just like, here's Jon coming in with his crazy entrepreneurial brain with another flash in the pan idea. And then he's going to change his mind next week. Well, that's not culture. That's chaos. And so it's what you do repeatedly and what you're intentional about. What are some of those? You said there are 100 things. Give us a couple of nuggets there. Like, what are a couple of the key things that you do over and over?
You have to be authentic. If you're going to be asking your staff to, or anyone working with you, to follow you down the thing, or guest first, or we're going to do this, as a leader, you better be doing it as well. So a tiny little thing that makes a huge impact, something that we never did, and we might have overlooked it. But opening up the door for a guest. So when someone's in the store, I know this sounds so small, but if it's when someone comes in your door, how you greet them. But let's say they don't buy. Maybe they don't buy a product from you, or they buy from you. I got a thumbs up there. Cool.
You're watching on YouTube. Jon somehow got like a thumbs up gesture. Come on, where's mine? Okay, so you're opening the door when they arrive or when they leave, or
no?
Both?
When they leave. So sometimes when you go to a lot of retailers, it's if they don't buy from you, you get upset and they walk across the store and they leave. That's not, it's when they come to a Modern Mattress store, it's like coming to your house. It's like coming to your home. Would you let someone walk through your house to the front door? No. If they don't buy from you, well, that's your last chance to make sure that you leave a lasting impression. If they buy from you, you better be opening up that door. So a lot of things like, so now all of our staff and all of our stores, if someone buys or doesn't buy, it's a little thing, but they'll open up the door, walk them to the car. If they have accessories, they'll do that. And it's just a tiny little thing, but it's such a big impact, being, inviting someone into the store, showing them that you actually care. Like I said, that's just one little tiny thing.
And that's consistent across the board. Like that's part of your training now, and your sales team or whoever's in the store opens the door when a guest leaves.
Yeah. And like I said, sometimes if it was like, you bought the thing or bought the mattress and bought the set, you just walk out. Or if you didn't, they wouldn't. But yeah, it's consistent now where that's one little thing that we make sure that we do and treat the person like they're in your home.
I remember Barry Brown told me one time back when they had a lot of stores and he was responsible for it. A shout out to Barry. So thank you for this tip, by the way, Barry, but it ties into what Jon is saying. Barry says that many times people don't remember the mattress they purchased. So whenever they would write up their ticket, they would, fold it, maybe put it in a brochure. Regardless, they would walk the guest back to the mattress they purchased to remind them of what they purchased. And then at the door, open it for them and hand them their receipt. And I was like, that's a pretty cool thing because you're in a sea of white rectangles and you get turned around and you're at the desk and you're writing up the ticket. Like, what did I just buy? I can't remember now. So I love that you've been intentional about thinking through, like, what would this be like if it was in my home? And you're absolutely right. Like, you'd be like, I'm glad you were here. I'm going to miss you. I'm going to wave goodbye at you. Sometimes when people, like when I drive away, I might honk my horn, like, see you later. Not like, go walk the red carpet, get out of my store because you didn't buy anything from me. It does send off some very subtle but meaningful signals.
Or you buy something and then you're like, oh, they just took my money and okay, I'm going to walk out the store here and walk out. And no, you got to give that last impression as you leave, no matter what, if they buy or don't buy. So that's one little thing. I mean, like I said, I could probably go off for hours on all the other things that we do, but there's lots of little things that we look at. And I walk through the store often and we look at every little touch point that the guest goes through.
All right, Jon, what is next for Modern Mattress? I know in the fall you're going to have your 6th store. Do you have some big vision here?
Yeah, of course.
Tell me.
No. Some of the big things that we're working on, again, 6th store, I mean, that's a huge success. Can't wait for that. That's going to be a real big one. We'll start to look at expansion to other markets as well, is what we're going to look at. I was just recently in China, so looked at that market as well. And so we'll be looking at different things where we can look at exporting some of our Canadian made mattresses out into the Chinese market. So we're going to look at that coming up as well. So big visions. I look at people like Matt Smith and watch him, and I love it. I love how he pushes the bar. So he's pushing me too. So
Matt's
we're always
pushing us
growing.
all.
Matt's
pushing us all. So, hey, speaking of exporting great things from Canada, tell us about the Next Canada selection that you were honored with.
Oh, well, there's been a couple. So Next Canada was basically, it's a kind of like a tech organization. It's one of the biggest in Canada, that one. And I was the only person selected from west of Toronto. So if someone knows where Toronto is, to Saskatchewan. But I was the only one that was selected in this founders group, it was 16 founders that were part of it. And some of them are doing some big things now, which is pretty cool to watch. But yeah, it was spending all summer, last summer out in Toronto around some of the just top people in AI that started some of the AI in North America, to Siobhan Zillis. She was part of Neuralink with a brain implant chip that Elon Musk, one of his companies. So I got to meet her and talk to her about sleep and what the future of, like, crazy futuristic of that could be. So it was just a really good networking group that was part of. The other one was G20. So it was a G20 Young Entrepreneurs, and that's where it's opened up a lot of doors for me on that. And that's brought me to China, brought me to different places as well. But that's a big kind of organization for kind of a global network of entrepreneurs. And so I've been fortunate to be part of that group as well.
It's strange that in all of your journey and all your travels, you haven't made it to Sleep Summit. I mean, Jon,
I'm coming.
China.
I'm coming. I know.
I mean, Bentonville should be at the top of your list, brother.
I know. It will. Well, Vegas. I'll be at the happy hour. But yes, Sleep Summit.
Hey, anybody
is
going
on
out
my
to
list. But yeah.
Hey, Bentonville is patiently waiting for you. Okay, so it's here. It's going to be here. Walmart's going to keep growing their giant campus, and we'll be having what some people refer to as Sleep Party, but it's Sleep Summit. Okay, so Grab your tickets. We have record attendance right now, by the way. So go to sleepsummit.thefam.com. Shay, a little plug here. Love it, man. Well, you're doing amazing things, Jon. And like, thank you for sharing your story with us. Thanks for being on the Fam Podcast. Shout out to the entire Lotus and Modern Mattress team and all of our brothers and sisters in Maple Leaf Land. Much love. As a parting sort of thought, what do you tell people now when they ask about entrepreneurship or what I should do today or how do I get started or best piece of advice?
Best piece of advice is just do it. I mean, you could talk yourself out of it every time. I hear lots of people with great ideas and they're like, oh yeah, I wish I could do this or I wish I did that. Regret. Don't, if you want to do it, just go do it. And I lived that in my life, either from business or traveling or spending time with family. You don't know how short life is. You know, it could end tomorrow. So make sure you're doing something that you enjoy, that brings you energy and passion and fun. So if it's in your personal life or in business, just go and do it, man. Just do it.
I couldn't agree with it more. I'm like, action is the answer. The move is the move. Just do it. However you want to look at it, just go and do it. You don't need permission from anybody.
We should trademark that. Just do it. Hey. Maybe another.
Dude, check and see if it might not be trademarked.
I'm going to see if that's available. Yeah, right.
It's so true. I mean, like, and you're not going to know until you take an action. Like, you're not going to know the questions to ask. You're not going to know the answers you need. You're not going to know the people you need to connect with until you start doing something.
And to be honest, sometimes that's better. You know, I wouldn't have started my first business probably on an island in the Turks and Caicos Islands, the first one. For what I know now, I would have probably talked myself out of it nowadays. There, I was naive. I was like, you know what, let's just do it. Again, here's another story where someone told, they go, Jon, you're not going to be able to get a business license for a water sports business in Turks and Caicos. You know how hard that is? You need to be a local person. You need to have citizenship on the island. And I was like, oh, that's not good. But, if you're kind of naive and you kind of just problem solve it. One of the guys I used to work with, he was a local guy there. He goes, Jon, buy me a case of beer. I'll sign your license for you. I don't need any of your company. And so I bought him 2 cases of beer and he was happy and we joked about it, but there's a will, there's a way. You just got to do it sometimes.
I love it.
There's another weird story. Jeez, you're getting them all. You're getting them all out today.
Oh man, I just reel you in. That's what happens here in the Fam Podcast.
This is
what's maybe like one of your biggest wins that you've celebrated in your career?
My career.
Yeah.
I mean, having my son, that's all. You get married, those big things. But no, as far as careers, I think it's all just micro steps. Like, I'm just so excited to be where we are now, to, you have this vision and you keep growing. So to see where Lotus and Modern Mattress have come from, like, it's really humble beginnings. So I started in a garage and it was, for you guys, it wasn't a heated garage and it was really cold. I think it was minus 10 or 20 in my garage and I had a hoodie on and all that. And I'm building these blankets before Christmas to sell them. So to see where we are now and the journey of that, it's so cool to see. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that where we are and where we're going to go.
I think that's a good capture of it and a good tidy bow on it, because you're right. Like the micro moments are great and worth celebration in and of themselves, because if you're living congruently, if you're doing something that brings you energy, your days become your life and they add up. And then it doesn't have to be one big moment. It can be this collection of things, just like you talked about in your culture piece. Like, it's the 100 things that we're doing consistently over and over again. If I was going to put a quick recap on it, it's like, definitely take action, find what brings you energy, and you're the compounding effect of what you do consistently over and over again. Jon, thank you so much for being on the Fam Podcast. Where can people connect with you?
The easiest is probably LinkedIn. I'm active on there. So Jon Piett, you can search me on LinkedIn. I'm usually pretty active. So if you message me, have questions, Vegas, I'll be there, I think, for 3-4 days. So if I'm in the hallways, ask, or we'll definitely be at the happy hour for the Fam. So super excited for that. But yeah, I'd love to connect. I love connecting with anyone in the industry, sharing different ideas. So yeah.
Love it. Well, you can meet Jon in person at the Fam Happy Hour in partnership with King Coil. So that's going to be at 4 p.m. July 27th at Vegas Market. So 4 p.m. July 27th, come meet Jon, come say hi to me. We're going to give away some VIP and general admission Sleep Summit tickets. We're going to give you a way to save $50 off Sleep Summit while you're there. And what we give you, you can get back $50 cash. So we're going to be doing some fun stuff. So it's B1200, by the way. So go to the King Coil space, B1200, 4 p.m. July 27th. You can meet Jon, and we'll throw around some high fives just viciously.
Hell yeah. Oh, excited. It's coming up. It's coming up. It's coming up so fast.
We're close, man. Well, hey, thanks. I definitely encourage you to also check out Jon on LinkedIn. He's got great content. You can follow his journey. Hey, hopefully you won't be running away from hurricanes anytime soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Jon.